Hold on. Is it recording? We're now recording. Okay, let's get started. Rich, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks very much. So for anyone who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Rich Chilla. I'm the immediate past chair of AUTM, which means I'm a has-been. I'm on my way out, but I do have the pleasure of hosting today's meeting. And we really wanted to make today's meeting kind of informal and fun. So, you know, first of all, to all the candidates, I really want to thank you on behalf of the membership of AUTM for throwing your hat in the ring, putting yourself forward, and being willing to be considered for a position on the board of directors. And so thanks very much. Let me start with that. So kind of the run of show today, if I can go over it a little bit. First thing is I'm going to ask each of you to say a little bit about yourself. So when you think about this, people have been able to see your bio and answer the questions you provided online. So maybe a little bit less on the professional side, but you know, we're here to get a sense of you as a person. So, you know, these 1 minute statements are about anything you want to tell us about your work, about you, your pets, your hobby, your family, anything you want to share with us. That's terrific. Doesn't have to be, you know, something necessarily professional or tech transfer. Then we're going to get to the speed round where I'm going to be asking each of you a question, each of you a different question. And these questions also are entitled or intended to be fun. They're not supposed to be real serious. And so hopefully we'll all have some fun with this. Okay. And then at the end, we may have a little bit of time left for questions from the audience. Don't know, we'll just have to play it by ear with that. And so Carrie and I will work together to see if we have some time with that at the end. So with that, we're going to get going, and I'm just going to go through and ask people to introduce themselves, and I'll call on you. So, so again, keep your intro to maybe like roughly a minute about yourself. So with that, Wes, you want to introduce yourself, please? We can't hear you yet. Just 1 sec. I think Carrie has to unmute you.
Wes, you're on mute. You can unmute yourself. No?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, down there. There we go.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah, there we are. Yep. So I'm Wes Blakesley. Been around in this business for many, many years. Retired about 5 years ago as the head of the tech transfer office at Hopkins, and now I do consulting in this area. But you know, one of the things that folks probably don't know about me, I like to play golf. A lot of people know that, but I also like to hunt, and I find it really interesting to do both of them at the same time. You don't get much game, but people let you play through. It's great.
Very good, Wes. Thanks very much. Eugene, if you'd like to say a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So hi, everybody. I'm Eugene Buff. I definitely not going to measure with Wes in terms of how many years I've been around, but it also been a few. My background is still kind of scientific, so I find it the most fun that in what I do is actually to translate between the science speak and the business speak. So for the last 20 years, I'm the consultant in this area, and I still very often call the translator or psychiatrist to try to explain one side what the other actually means with these words.
Thanks, Eugene. And with that, Elmisha, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm at Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi. I was born and raised on the Caribbean island of St. Kitts and Nevis. I spent my career for 10 years in the shipping and cruise industry prior to coming to my undergrad here at the University of Central Florida. Came to Jackson State, got into tech transfer, and here I am 11 years later. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Elmisha. Thanks very much. With that, we'll go on to Joy. Just one.
Sure, I think many of you already know me, but I do want to probably introduce myself as somebody who is not as popular as somebody who is from my state and is doing really well. And I'm going to actually grill you guys on that because I know I'm going to get grilled in a little bit. So my personality is very similar to this guy. His name starts with a J. My name starts with a J as well. It's a 3-letter name. His second letter is O. You know, his name probably by the second letter. He comes from my state of Delaware. He is also fighting the elections, by the way, and you guys better go and vote. And he's a little younger than me by heart because he doesn't do tech transfer. And I think I've grown old because of doing that. He is, of course, politically affiliated to a particular party. He's a great guy, and so am I. So, you know, if I can draw any similarity with my buddy Joe Biden, you can always count on me on being a similar kind of personality. I love music, and I play lots of music, but the best instrument that I like playing is a percussion instrument called the bell. Thanks.
Joe Biden approves this message. Thanks, Joe.
I do as well.
Rick Hbsus.
Thanks, Rich. And just for the record, I haven't taken any money from PACs or super PACs before I get started. But no, thanks for the opportunity. I worked in the software industry for about 20 years prior to working in tech trans for the last 12 or 13 years. I grew up in rural Wisconsin, so I kind of like open space or having some space, and we live outside the Twin Cities. I enjoy the outdoors, you know, gardening, hunting, fishing, golf. Maybe I need to get together with Wesley. But you know, something that people may not know about me, my wife grew up in Green Bay, and we're on the season ticket waiting list because that's what happens when you are a fan of the Packers. And my wife actually owns one of those triangle-shaped cheese heads. So there's the trivia.
Sweet. Thanks, Rick. Lloyd, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, first of all, I think I have a lot of chutzpah running for this position because I've only joined Autumn recently on the advice of Dave Zimmerman and joined one committee, the Finance Committee, where I got to meet and know Joy, and looking forward to working with him on it. But basically, I'm an engineer by heart. I trained at MIT in electrical engineering, and I couldn't, in the 60s, I couldn't imagine working for a big evil corporation. So I went to medical school so I could use my engineering talents to you know, solve medical problems and help people. And I've done a lot with tech transfer because every academic position I've also had joint appointments in engineering. In fact, I was at Stony Brook was my first position, and I knew Paul Lauterbur personally, who of tech transfer infamy. And when I was at Temple and at UMDNJ, I always had to joint appointments, Drexel and NJIT, and my goal is to bring a slightly different point of view to this, because I'm an inventor and out of the box thinker, and I'm not a tech transfer professional nor a corporate guy, but I'm the guy in the middle, and I've seen it from both sides, and I've had lots of relationships with tech transfer officers and have lots of ideas about how we can do things a little bit better. And before I leave, I should say, in terms of hobbies and things like that, I'm a fairly serious photographer, have been so ever since I was 3 years old and could reach the developing trays on my dad's table. I still actually have those trays in my attic. I can't part with them.
Understood. Thanks very much, Lloyd.
Sure.
Tari, back to you.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Tari Suprapto. For those of you who are puzzling, like, what is that name from? I'm originally from Indonesia, but I've lived in the US for most of my life. I left home when I was 15 to go to boarding school and really only went back for vacations. You know, I think my candidate bio goes through a lot of just kind of my professional qualifications, but you know, I kind of wanted to share with you all that I kind of live by 3 mantras. One, if you're going to speak up about a problem, make sure that you're going to offer a recommendation or a solution. If you've got to break a door down to make way for yourself, make sure you keep it propped open. And probably lastly, if you're going to do something, make sure you do it 110% and don't go halfway. I've got coarser language than that, but I know we're being recorded, so we won't go there. You know, just you know, what has been wanted to share what's been keeping me sane throughout, you know, this crazy year of 2020 is I've been steadily accumulating home gym equipment on my patio. So I've been able to keep all of my relatively healthy habits, and so I've got a kickboxing bag, whole set of dumbbells and other fun stuff. And as soon as we're done with this, that's where I'm going.
Very good, Tari. Thanks very much. Donald.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful to see you all. I'm an entrepreneur by heart. So I spent about the first 20 years of my career with startup companies. And for the most part, I was helping to commercialize other people's stuff. And I was really excited about being able to do something innovative and something that precipitated from my own work, which took me about mid-career to join the University of Pittsburgh in a PhD program for bioengineering. And there I was exposed to the incredible world of translational research. And that spawned a patent application on a cell-based therapeutic. So it was just an incredible eye-opener. But more than just the work that I was working on, I met so many incredible faculty and innovators across the institution and saw that there were not enough resources to help them at the very early stages of their innovation. And so what I enjoy most about my professional role is helping investigators activate their research toward commercial toward commercial applications. So really seeing them light up when you talk to them about the impact of their research and helping them throughout that process has been incredibly beneficial. So from a personal perspective, I picked up a game called paddle tennis or platform tennis. I don't know if anybody's played this sport before. It is probably about as humbling as it can be, at least for me. But it's fun because every week we get to go and play other teams across the region. So it's a fun outdoor sport where we can meet new people and enjoy each other's company.
Thanks very much, Donald. Appreciate it. John.
I'm Doug Aguilera. I'm a CPA, forensic accountant, and running for the treasurer position. I have an affinity for autumn. It goes back to the mid-90s when I started doing royalty audits for Stanford, MIT, and Florida State, including for John Fraser, who's on today, my good friend. And I do financial investigations as a part-time employee at Stanford University, as well as have my own practice here in Palo Alto, California, where I do internal investigations and act as an expert witness. During the shelter in place, it's given me an opportunity to revitalize my baseball card collection and enjoy the hobby even more. And I have some great baseball cards from the 60s and 70s that I enjoy, and some more to collect and add to my collection. So with that, I'll turn it back over. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Doug. We'll have to chat. I have a Tom Seaver rookie card, so we can chat about that sometime. Is John Wilson on the call?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can, John. Thanks very much.
I apologize. One of the reasons I cannot put you on my iPad is because we're all learning from home, and my oldest son is on a college conference call right now, so I apologize for not being able to be online, and my work will not allow us to use computers for Zoom, so I apologize.
No problem, John. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. About my background, I'm a trained neuroscientist and toxicologist. Been in pharmaceuticals my whole life for 20 years, and finally decided to make the switch, move out of the area of science. Did not want to go full business development, so I'm currently an academic liaison for GlaxoSmithKline. Work directly with academics and nonprofits, but that's sort of the day-to-day activities. I'm married, have two sons that are both in high school, dealing with that. I have one that's going to college next year, so we're playing that fun game. We love to travel. However, that's been put to a screeching halt. However, if you want to see me, my family and I were on Beachfront Bargain Hunt, the HGTV show in Wildwood, New Jersey, about a year and a half ago by pure chance alone. And that's pretty much where we are right now.
Thanks very much, John. I do like that show. I'll have to go back and look at old episodes now.
Yeah, that's the only way you'll see me, unfortunately, right now. Sorry.
No problem. So, Omar.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Omar. I originate out of Lebanon. Came to Canada about 17 years ago, originally to study. I did a PhD in materials science, and then kind of pivoted into venture capital, though it was a pretty unique outfit that builds startups out of university technologies, which was really my foray into tech transfer. And I guess a couple of random facts about myself. I've desperately been trying to find some winter sports to learn so that the Montreal winters are a little bit more tolerable. I'm an avid board gamer, though the lockdown has kind of prevented that from being something I can pursue lately. And when I get a chance to read for pleasure, it's usually old sci-fi books.
Very good. Thanks very much, Omar. I think I got everybody, right, Carrie? I didn't miss anybody in a senior moment here?
I don't think so.
Terrific. Okay. Well, hey, thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for telling us a little bit more about yourselves. That was super helpful. So we're going to do a little bit of a speed round here, and I'm going to ask each of you a question. And we'll have 1 or 2 minutes to talk about that particular question. And all of these are, of course, designed to be fun and designed to help people just know a little bit more about each of you. So with that, I think I'm going to go in the same order again. So I'm going to start with you, Wes. And I want to know, so Wes, what would you like written on your tombstone?
Well, if you promise not to put it on there too soon.
No, we're not rushing anything. So we just want to put an order in for 30 years into the future, Wes.
Okay, well, at least. Well, I've never thought about that because, just like with this pandemic, I don't worry about it because I don't like to think about those kinds of things. I don't necessarily think about them. But I suppose that the best kind of thing to be written on my tombstone was that here lies a very nice guy, good friend, good father, good husband, good brother. That would be great to be on my tombstone. If people would think that was worthwhile to write.
That would be great. That would be great. So kind of keeping with the morbid theme here just for a sec, Wes, who would you have do your who would you want to do your eulogy? So if someone was going to stand up and do your eulogy, who would you like it to be?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think I can get Gandhi.
Probably not a little late for that.
So I have to kind of rule him out, and I doubt that the Pope would do it. So you might have to pick somebody else. I think maybe some comedian, a good comedian like Robin Williams. Robin Williams could probably do a really good eulogy, I think, because I don't want people sitting there crying when I'm gone. I want them to be happy, celebrate. So somebody like a Robin Williams would be good.
Very good. Very good. That was great, Wes. Thank you very much. Before I go on to the next person, someone asked a question actually that in the chat box that I do want to answer because it was a good question. It said, can you remind the folks on the call who's retiring from the board? Because sometimes that's a consideration if you'd like to balance geography, gender, things like that. So retiring from the board are our sitting treasurer, Graham Morton. Doug is running for that position of treasurer. I'm retiring from the board, finishing my term as immediate past chair. Sharon Simonis from Lilly, she is retiring. And Joanne McMaster, formerly of Tech Launch, Arizona, and now heads a group of Desert Angels in Arizona. She is retiring. So those are the 4 who are stepping off the board this year. And this panel, this candidate pool will replace us. So thanks for the question. It was a good question. With that, back to the fun and games. So Eugene, what's one crazy goal that you would love to achieve in your lifetime?
Well, I'm afraid I have a long list, but the craziness of them becoming less crazy with everybody being locked down, right? So when I left science, the Nobel Prize totally got off that list. So I think I probably still want to write something and not particularly scientific, and that's where my problem is. So I would love to write some crazy fiction and definitely not too serious. So back to the West point again, I don't like to be too serious. So I think it should be very laughable, and that would make it crazy enough to be done.
So you see yourself writing like maybe some kind of like a British farce or
Yeah, something like that.
kind of
But you know, now I'm confused between languages, right? Because I grew up in Russian languages, so and I think I still, but I totally think in English, and I haven't written anything in Russian, even the notes for the last 20 plus years, right? So even when I start, that's where the craziness starts, right? So I don't even know how this book will look like. It probably will be a mixture of the Cyrillic and Latinic letters to begin with. So you might decipher it.
very good, very good. Well, I look forward to getting an autographed copy, Eugene, when you finish it.
Well, I can start giving out autographs in the hope that the book will come.
Oh, well, you could do that. Yeah, yeah. It could be like an advance. So instead of having an advance book to write the book, you're doing the advance autographs in it.
Right, and also the commitment device, right? You know, if I sign the cover, then there needs to be something under the cover.
There you go. There you go. Thanks, Eugene. So, Elmisha, what I'd like to know from you is, what is the best concert you've ever been to?
Oh, I would say Brian McKnight. I did that in the Inside newsletter recently, just because, you know, I was just surprised with all the instruments he plays. I'm not a music person, so I married a musician. My kids are beautiful singers and they played multiple instruments. I'm horrible. So that's why I loved going to that concert.
So I'm not as familiar with that artist. So what type of music do they play? Is it
Brian McKnight he's an R&B, but he plays, I think, nine different instruments. And to sit at a concert and see all the different instruments, that was amazing to me, because I've been to many concerts, different genres, but that one, for some reason, stayed in my mind for about 3 to 4 months. I dreamt about it too.
Very cool. So who did you go to the concert with? Did you go with your family or friends or?
No, actually, at the time, I had my own radio show. So yes, I was doing that on the show.
Oh, wow. So what kind of radio show did you have? I want to hear about that.
So my radio show was basically interviewing music artists and, you know, innovators and creators, and just talking to them about the inspiration of their music and how people can get connected in terms of where do you start if you want to get into the industry. That was a part-time gig, by the way. I didn't get paid for it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thanks very much, Elmisha. That was terrific. So, Joy, question for you. Ocean, mountain, or woods, and why? You have to choose.
I would select maybe mountains with an oversight on the ocean. I lived in Vancouver, and I had my office where there was it was really on a hilltop. And if people have been to Vancouver, they would appreciate it. Somewhat the background that Doug Aguilera has on his virtual screen is the overlook that I had from my office. So I would select a combination of both. Definitely not the woods. I just find it too eerie.
Well, so why do you think the woods are eerie? That's fun. That's interesting.
Well, you know, again, I think the natural beauty lies in the fact that you can have a generally beautiful oversight of the two generic features on the world, which is geography of land and water. So the intersection of land and water is much more appealing to me than the woods. But again, not to say that I don't like the woods, just that I find myself a little lost and out of humanity when it gets to going into the forest. So I kind of like the more scenic part of the land and the water terrestrial interface much better.
Are you a beach guy? So in terms of the ocean, you like to lay on the beach, or?
Yes, I'm a beach guy and a mountain guy too. So I can do both. But like I said, I think generally, of course, nature is beautiful. So it depends on how you kind of interpreted nature. But depending on the mood and depending on the situation, I think either of them are appealing to me. Not so much the woods, unfortunately.
Very good. Thanks very much, Joy.
Thank you.
So Rick, question for you. So you and I, Rick, you and I actually have a little similar backgrounds because we both worked in industry for quite some time, and we came to university tech transfer as a second career. And so I'm going to ask you, how would you describe your jobs in a presentation to a third grade classroom? So if one of your nieces and nephews or grandchildren asked you to come for career day, how would you explain what you do to them?
Well, I actually had that happen during my children's education and when I first started in tech transfer, and I think it was one of the more challenging things to do because basically they felt that your output was writing papers and presentations and or patents, and it was all just paperwork. And I think it's always been a challenge to communicate that. There was the autumn video that I liked. I think Jane Muir did with the little stick figures and the
Animation, yeah.
animation. I think that was one of the better, and many people have used that just as their 2-minute introduction. But one of the things that we have at Minnesota that everybody can relate to is the apple portfolio. So if you explain to people that, we don't breed the apples and make the apples and we don't run the orchards, but we actually do that transfer and the connection between the two. I think that's probably the easiest and best way. But it is a hard thing to describe. It's not like we make anything. It's intangible, so it's a little bit difficult. But at the same time, I did remember when I was choosing my next job, probably about 10 to 15 years ago now. I explained it to my neighbor, and I was looking at another software job, and then I had this opportunity at the university, and I still remember his quote. He's like, I would take the university job working with new technology. It sounds like more fun than a barrel of monkeys.
Little did he know how much truth there was in that sometimes. Thanks, Rick. Yeah, one time someone was asking my daughter when my daughter was in high school. They were asking your dad, what does your dad do? And at the time, I was a chemical engineer, and she said, my dad's a chemical engineer. And her friend said, well, what does that mean? She goes, well, it's someone who's good at math, but didn't have the personality to be an accountant. So it's out of the mouths of babes.
Yes.
Thanks very much, Rick. Lloyd. So Lloyd, question I have for you. What is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Groundhog Day. That's just an easy one. And I saw it when we were on a ski trip in Vermont with my 2 kids, and we have probably watched that movie 100 times.
So what do you like about that movie? I love that movie too. So what do you like about it?
Well, I think, the opportunity to grow and to change and to find a greater meaning within yourself is it's sort of an extraordinary tale. I think everyone who sees that movie loves it because you start out with this guy who's hopeless, and he gradually, and then you even get teased in the middle that he's finally figured out, but then he finally comes to an understanding of what it really means to be a good human being. So that one's definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I can see it, Lloyd. I sometimes wish that I could go back to certain parts of my life and redo them with the knowledge that I have, later on. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Very, very cool movie. Thanks very much. Tari. So my question for you is, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? This is always fascinating.
Oh, well, I think probably my earliest memory of an ambition was I actually wanted to be a writer. I always liked to scribble and draw in, random pieces of paper, notebooks. So one half would be the school stuff, the other half would be the story stuff. And, a lot of it came from growing up as an only child and dealing with, living, I translocated from the US to Indonesia when I was only 7. So I was kind of isolated for a while as I overcame the language barrier. So I kind of started to escape into that. And then my mom said, you're not going to make any money as a writer. Go study something more tangible. So I went into science. But I think there's still a streak of that. I don't write so much anymore. And but yeah, there's a little streak of escapism here and there.
That's really cool, but that's already a pretty sophisticated profession for someone young as a kid to want to do. You know, like most kids would say, yeah, I'm a fireman or a policeman or a nurse or a doctor or something like that. But a writer, that's a more sophisticated career choice for a little kid.
Yeah, I could read since I was 3. So,
Okay.
And I always was the kid that wanted to read ahead. And then I was like, I'll go say like, the story could be better.
Very good. Well, thanks very much.
Yep.
So, Donald, I don't know if you are Donald. Are you into boating at all? Do you like to sail or powerboat or anything like that?
I do like boating. It's not a very specific hobby of mine, but I do like to sail.
All right. Well, so here's my question for you. If you bought a nice sailboat, what would you name it? Name your boat.
Catch me if you can.
Catch me if you can.
Yeah, first thing that came to my mind.
I like that.
I would say that I'm adventurous, so I like to race. So I would envision this boat being in one of those incredible, races, veering around those pivot points, and so I think it would be a lot of fun to be in one of those competitive, sailboating races.
What kind of sailing have you done? Is it like, on a big crew on one of those big boats, or
no, extraordinarily modest, like tiny little catamaran that could barely fit 2 people. And I remember in college, my buddies and I went up to a local lake, and one of our friends had this thing. You sort of hitch it to the back of your car, and I don't even know if it was legal. Maybe one of our friends was like holding on to it as we were driving up to the lake, and we got there, and I was a little bit too ambitious with it, and so we hit the wind just so, and we're up on one of those pillars and tipped over. So it's just a lot of fun, just being able to have that type of experience, like zipping through the water and just the wind blowing. It's really, really incredible. But no, just very, very modest boating.
Thanks, Don. Very good. John Wilson. John, you can join us again. I'll have a good question for you here.
Sure, absolutely.
So if you could write a book about your life, what would the title be and why?
It would probably be Oops. I have fallen and injured myself in random ways. My unfortunate for my wife, I have done things that, the doctor always says, well, I've never heard of that before. It's one of those things. And I started my life off at age 4, I believe it was, jumping out of a tree and shattering both my ankles on landing on a root perfectly, much to my mother's dismay, and ended up in, I guess, 8th grade, hitting a tree while sledding, like probably the most easy thing to do, to slide down a hill. And I decided to lose a glove and couldn't steer and ran into a tree head first. So and that continued through high school and college, and unfortunately has not paused itself that much. Last year, I took a tree branch to the face and got 60 stitches all the way down to the skull of my left eye due to a chainsaw accident. So it just continues to build. So I think it makes you a unique person, but at the same time, scares the hell out of the people around you.
So John, would you categorize yourself as a risk taker or as a thrill seeker?
I think it's more of a thrill seeker. I don't put myself in positions where like you're gonna die. But at the same time, I think I enjoy doing things outdoors. I enjoy doing things myself, and I enjoy spending time with my kids. But some of those have been a little bit of both. So I definitely think it would be a thrill seeker.
Very good. Thanks very much, John. Omar. So Omar, I want you to tell me about something that you have done, but you would never do again.
Let's see.
We are recording this, so you want to keep that in mind.
Well, this is going to sound a little weird, but I'd probably say crossing an open street in Lebanon. I've been away from Lebanon long enough now that I've sort of lost all that courage you have when you're exploring countries like that, where there are traffic rules and it's entirely chaotic. But Yeah, but more seriously, I suppose there was this one business trip that I took to Beijing, and I hate being away from home. It's one of those things where unless I'm traveling for pleasure, I want to be there and then back as soon as possible. And so I booked my flights incredibly tight. I wanted to make sure that as soon as my last meeting was done, I would be out of there. And basically what that got me was rushing through Beijing airport, which is a nightmare, by the way. It's not something that you
Huge, spread out.
And yelling across the line, trying to get myself to the other side. I did make the flight, but almost dead out of breath. And yeah, never going to do that again.
I think we've all been there at one time or more. Thanks. And Doug. Doug, what is your guilty pleasure?
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream, and for a while it was the Real Housewives of Orange County.
Now, would you watch that while eating ice cream?
Even better yet. So I have a bunch of guilty pleasures.
So you gotta go on beyond ice cream. So what's your particular flavors? Are there flavors that you really binge on? And are you a binger? Do you like open a gallon and eat the whole thing, or what?
Yeah, it's more of an every night thing. And so on Sundays, I'm down at Baskin Robbins, 31 ice creams, and getting a 3-scoop sundae of delicious ice cream. And then I nourish it over the week. So I'll have maybe more on Sunday night than I will on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday night, where I might only have, 3 or 4 spoonfuls. I'm trying to stay on a reasonable diet while still enjoying ice cream. Some would say just get it over, eat the whole thing on Sunday night, and then go and get more on Monday. But I'm just a little bit more rational than that, I guess.
So because I'm feeling magnanimous, Doug, you can tell me about a second guilty pleasure. So you said the ice cream. What else?
Yeah.
Maybe an activity rather than something you consume. What activity is your guilty pleasure? How do you like to spend your time?
Yeah. And I have a hard time with that one. I don't know that it's so much a guilty pleasure to want to go to the bookstore and browse around for an hour or two. I think also of food again is to go to a steakhouse and have a really nice steak, overpay for it. And so when I feel like I've done well at work or as a reward, that will be what feels like a guilty pleasure.
Terrific. So you guys are all terrific. You guys are really an interesting group, and you guys cook through our fun questions here like no tomorrow. So we actually have a fair bit of time left. So looking for a question. Carrie shared one with me here. And I have a question about the question, though, only because I'm not as familiar with an abbreviation someone put in. Question was, for anyone who'd like to maybe answer it in the group, have you ever worked with an MSI before? And if so, what capacity, what did you do to increase inclusion of MSIs as board of director members? And so I think I know what MSI is, but I'm not sure if the questioner wouldn't mind cluing me in. And I apologize for being ignorant on this.
Yeah, Rich, that's my question. So for anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Megan Anstius, and I'm the chair of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee for Autumn.
Yep.
So no big surprise that this is my question, but
Okay.
MSI stands for Minority Serving Institution. So
Okay.
it could be an HBCU, it could be a Hispanic serving institution, HSI, or any other form as well.
Okay, terrific, Megan. So, so with that, actually, I'm going to open it up to our candidate group. Would anyone like to answer? They have experience working with an MSI, and they'd like to talk to us about a little bit about it.
I'll just go first. And
So I work.
Okay, I'll let Alicia started. I'll let you go first, and then I'll call on the next one. Alicia, please go ahead.
I'm actually at an HBCU. That's why I'm going first.
So please do.
that was my response by saying, yes, I work at an HBCU. So of course, I work with a lot of different HBCUs in different programs that we have, partnering with different activities. For example, we're doing the Enrich program with the University of Kentucky, and that is basically geared towards HBCUs. Currently, we're doing 31 HBCUs, and in the spring, we're catering to all 105 HBCUs.
So I have a question for you, Almisha, if you don't mind. I'm going to take a
Host edge there.
I'm going to ask a host prerogative and ask you a quick question. Almisha, just real quickly, less than a minute, what could Autumn be doing to better engage with HBSUs? Because I think it's something we don't do enough on, and this is a hot topic we're discussing on our board. So I'm just kind of curious on your perspective.
Okay, one thing is, big thing is awareness. I've been in tech transfer for 10.5 years here at Jackson State. And one of the challenges, one, the administration doesn't understand what it is. They know I'm busy, they know I'm doing something, but they're not sure. Just had an opportunity on Tuesday to speak to the president's cabinet about what I'm doing and how it matters to the institution. And so I think they're getting a little bit of it. That's one. Two is helping to create a pipeline. So you have students coming through, but they don't know what tech transfer is. Even when I got into it, I didn't know what it was. And so I had to reach out to different people, learn about Autumn, came to my first course with Chris Noble, and immediately got into it. But it's creating that pipeline and educating the community at HBCUs and MSIs on a whole to understand the need for that tech transfer.
Thanks very much.
I'm going to chip in here, and I would kind of echo what Almisha is doing. So just to give a little perspective here, at University of Delaware, since Delaware is a very small state, sort of the second smallest state in the United States, University of Delaware Tech Transfer Office is uniquely positioned in that we serve the tech transfer office of the entire state. So all the colleges and universities that are there within the state are being served through the University of Delaware Tech Transfer Office, one of which is Delaware State University, which is an HBCU. I have personally been, again, surprised to see how little awareness they have about this entire functionality and role, not just from the standpoint of tech transfer, but stuff like applying for grants, EPSCoR grants particularly, or trying to get assistance in the iCore program or entrepreneurship in general. So I think in general, I think Autumn's position, if at all, they could kind of bolster their effort in trying to reach out to HBCUs in specific, also in light of the fact that they're getting a lot of federal grants nowadays, being that money is earmarked for them to do research, and that they're kind of escalating their efforts now, would be pretty significant. So I would again tend to echo what Almisha says, that there is a lack of awareness. There is a lot of attributes that Autumn can eventually play a role by virtue of pushing the exposure and understanding of what tech transfer is and what we typically do with other universities in general.
Thanks very much, Joy.
Yeah, and I would. Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
within the. Oh no, so I'm the divisional lead for inclusion and diversity at GlaxoSmithKline for our clinical operations group, and the way we've approached it specifically in the area for academic tech transfer as well as research within the universities is exactly what has just been said, is knowledge based. They're not aware of what is available. We have an early talent review board that we review globally, students from HBCUs as well as all realms of diversity across science. And one of the things that we've noted is there's just not a knowledge base. They don't even know what's available. So how we've done it within GSK is we've actually done the work to find out what federal money is available, contacted the universities that have a need, that have interest, that have areas of research that they would feel would be applicable to GSK. Obviously, the one nice thing about a very large company is there are lots of areas we can go into. And I think that us being able to notify the university saying, if we have the need, we can find the finance and the money. However, again, it's trying to get the language out there. And I think that's probably the hardest. You have to have, and we have an entire human resources division, obviously, that not everyone has those FTE counts, but it's getting the knowledge out there, because once we were in certain institutions, we had applicants and we had waiting lists to get the people in. And truly it was an excitement on their side, is like, we don't have the financial resources depending on the size of the institution. So I think unfortunately they need a champion to be able to reach out to them, say this is available, we'll help any way we can, and that would, I think, really solidify Autumn's position in that focus.
Thanks very much, John. What I'm going to do with the time we have left, I'm looking at the time we have left, is I think we're going to give everyone a chance at another question. We're going to do speed answer. So now I'm going to ask you a question. You have to give the answer. Got to shoot it for about, let's say, 45 seconds or so. All right. So I'm going to go back to Wes. Wes, which fictional family would you want to be part of? Television or movies or books?
I have to pick. I'll take a television family.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll take the family from the television show Seventh Heaven.
Oh, okay.
And
I forget the name of that family, but I remember that show quite well. Yeah.
Well, it's a show that ran a lot longer than most people think. They've had well over 100 episodes.
Yeah.
And you know, it would probably be a little bit boring because you know everybody was very kind of good character and you know not a lot of tensions that you have in a real family. But it would be kind of fun because there were the personalities of the various folks that were in there were different and complementary in many ways and contradicting in many others. And I thought that would be like a fun group to be a part of.
Very cool. Thanks very much, Wes. Eugene, what is something that you are most proud of?
Well, first of all, I can't avoid, I want to answer to Wes' question too.
Well, you can answer Wes's question. Go ahead.
I would definitely go to Adam's family. So that's for sure.
Which character are you?
No, I want to be part of it, just again, I'm not sure.
Oh, you want to be your own character.
Yeah. No, I will find my place there, but it's a good combination of tradition and and proper view on life. In terms of what I'm proud of, I think I would say I still hope that it's ahead of me, right? So I still hope that I haven't done something that I will be really proud of. So that's probably my answer.
Very good. Almisha, another question for you. What is your favorite recipe, either to eat or to cook?
Oh, actually, I had my favorite recipe yesterday. It was oxtails and rice.
I love that.
And I had it yesterday.
Really? I love that as well. That's my family's Polish American, and that's a very common dish amongst Poles. So I'm surprised that anybody else would like it. I love it. So terrific. I can go to your house to eat anytime. Joy, who's your favorite comedian?
Oh boy, maybe myself. That's what my son says. Oh, it's all reality TV shows nowadays. So in reality, probably I'm my own best.
So it's the Goswami family and reality show.
That's right. If there was a Brady Bunch in my house, it's if I really had a hidden camera and you see some of the shows that happen on my dining table, I think that will be a blockbuster in itself. So I would call myself a comedian. But I do want to go back to the previous question and previous couple of questions really. And my answer for that would be, the reality show of Shark Tank. I love Shark Tank because again, I keep telling my students how much they should watch it for them gaining all the insights of how the business world runs, but also from a licensing standpoint, how crafty some people like Mr. Wonderful eventually creates when he, literally improvises some of these licensing deals literally out of nowhere. So I really love it. And my favorite food would be chicken tikka masala. If anybody likes Indian food, you'd enjoy it. I had that yesterday and I plan to have that hopefully after today's meeting.
Okay, thanks, Joy. I'm gonna have to keep going quickly because I want to make sure I get everyone to have another question here. Rick Hbsus. So Rick, what job would you be terrible at?
Job would I be terrible at?
What job do you think you would be terrible at?
Well, I'll blend it with the last answer about the comedian previous answer. I don't know that I'd be a great comedian. I enjoy lots of comedy, but I think my delivery would be horrible. So I think it'd probably be as a comedian.
Yeah, it always looks easy until if you ever go to an open mic night and try it, it's pure terror.
Yeah, I can appreciate it, but I'd rather be in the audience than on stage for that.
Very cool. Thanks very much. Lloyd, let me see here. I've got some good things. Lloyd, what's the best book you've read recently?
The best book that I've read recently actually is Why We Sleep. It is a masterpiece written by the world's greatest expert on sleep. He's a Harvard professor. There's some amazing research showing that sleep, especially non-REM sleep, plays a pivotal role in prevention of dementia. And if I can indulge myself for just 1 minute, can I pivot to one of the other questions? Would that be allowable?
If you can do it in 10 seconds, then I'm going to cut you off.
I'm just going to say the thing I'm most proud of is my persistence. When I was a medical student, I saw a patient bleed to death because after an elective procedure, and I've spent the next 4 decades working on a device to detect bleeding earlier, have a startup company, and then went to business school to make the business successful after I finished my clinical practice.
Thanks, Lloyd. Appreciate it. Tari, if you could remove one thing from your daily schedule, what would it be and why?
Oh. Well, my husband will tell you I don't do it anyway, which is pretty much cleaning up after myself. Actually, it's the late night dishwashing.
Late night dishwashing.
I would take that out so I could go to bed earlier.
I hear you. I'm with you. Donald, let me see something here that I like. Donald, what makes you a great coworker?
I would say what makes me a great coworker is that I'm, very interested in my colleagues. So I'm really inquisitive about what motivates them, what gets them excited about what they're doing, and learning from them. So that's really an exciting part of working with other people, is learning about your colleagues and all the incredible information that they have that you can learn from. And on occasion, they'll ask for your opinion. And I think that's a very humbling thing, because I think it means that you listen and that they trust you.
Very cool. Thanks, Donald. John Wilson, what's your favorite thing to do when you're not working?
Honestly, I'd say go for a motorcycle ride.
A motorcycle ride?
It's probably one of the. I have a road glide special, so we actually are about 2 hours from the beach and about an hour from the mountain. So either way, depending on how much time I have, I'd like to get up in the morning and either go one way or the other, just to clear my head and come home and be ready to start the day.
Very cool. Very cool. Omar, I want to put you on the spot here. Do you play any musical instruments? Or have you ever tried to play a musical instrument if you don't?
I'm teaching myself guitar, actually. It's been about a year.
Oh, very cool. So are you teaching it to yourself, like over Zoom or how?
Yeah, also there's a pretty good online resources on this, but mainly it's YouTube. So yeah, spending a lot of time doing that, especially in lockdown.
Very cool. My neighbor, she's teaching herself how to play piano. I've gone over and fixed her electronic piano a couple of times. So
that sounds
very
much
cool. Okay, thanks very much. And Doug, let's see. Doug, what is the best piece of professional advice you've ever received?
To go into public accounting.
Really?
Yes. I had a fantastic professor at San Jose State. I was trying to decide what to do with my accounting degree, and he was very supportive of going into public accounting, and specifically at that point, one of the big 8 firms. Great advice.
Thanks very much, Doug. Well, you guys have been a terrific panel, and thanks for indulging me in my questions. And hopefully everyone had a chance to say a little bit about themselves. Quite an interesting group. I think that our our members are going to have a hard time selecting only four people from this group. Again, I want to thank all of you for your participation. I want to thank everyone who attended. As Carrie and Lee said, this is being recorded, and so it's going to be available for people to watch who weren't able to participate in this particular time slot. So with that, Leaf or Carrie, have I forgotten anything that I am supposed to say here?
No, you
Not
did
at all.
that.
Thank you.
So much, Rich. It's great.
No problem. So
Thanks to everybody. Yeah.
So to everyone who joined us, thanks again. Please stay healthy, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing all of you at either a virtual autumn event or eventually at our next in-person meeting, which will be a blowout, whenever it is. So thanks very much, everyone, and have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rich.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye, everybody.